So we will continue that presentation, and I consider that issue very important and related to what we do. Are Ellen G. White writings canonical or not? Just to remember what we were dealing with yesterday. Yes, she's not canonical. Do non-canonical true prophets have only pastoral authority or prophetic authority, like that one of the canonical prophets? We saw that non-canonical prophets also have prophetic authority, right? Then the next question: what kind of authority did non-canonical prophets like Deborah, Nathan, or John the Baptist have? Was it pastoral or prophetic? Then one question, very interesting question, was raised here. How do we know when a prophet is speaking under prophetic or under pastoral authority? I was walking this morning and I was thinking, if I am reading the book of Daniel, I will not make that question to myself. I will not ask to myself, oh, is this part of the book of Daniel, is this part of the book of Revelation prophetic or pastoral? What kind of authority has John in chapter 13? What kind of authority have John on chapter 2 of Revelation? So to me, I will take all as authoritative. How many of the canonical prophets were already canonical during the time of their ministry? And then when it comes to Ellen G. White, if Ellen G. White is a true prophetess, what authority does her writings have? Pastoral or prophetic? Why are we addressing those issues? For one reason. We may expect a lot of attacks against what we believe and what we practice in terms of stewardship. And unless we are deeply rooted on the spirit of prophecy, we will not be able to face those attacks. So that's why it's very important that we understand this issue. Besides that, what you said about policy, working policy. Once we put down working policy, we may expect people misusing tithe. Once we does not highlight the spirit of prophecy, what will be the basis of our belief in our practice? Because we heavily depend on the spirit of prophecy for what we teach and what we believe. So what authority, what kind of authority does her writings have? Pastoral or prophetic? What do you think about? Then I believe that this question is kind of difficult. Does Ellen G. White writings have the same authority as biblical writings? What do you think about that? Does Ellen G. White writings have the same authority as biblical writings? John? Yes. Yeah. You are right. And if you would answer no, you will be right also. Because, and this is from Alberto Team. He says, in the authorial sense, she has the same authority as canonical prophets. But in the functional sense, The canon has a different function. The canon has the function to determine new prophetic experience, not Ellen White. So in this sense, the Bible is above the spirit of prophecy, because the Bible will be the rule, and the Bible will be the pattern that will judge new experience. May we expect new prophetic experience? Yes or not? May we expect? What does the Bible say? In the book of Acts, in the book of Joel, it said that we may expect. We don't know if God will give us new experiences like that. But if one appears, if one comes, who will judge this new experience? It will not be the spirit of prophecy. It will be the Bible. But in the sense of authorship, they have the same authority. So what is the reason for why some persecute prophets? Were those prophets who were rejected, despised, persecuted, or murdered also inspired? Yes. Ellen White is being persecuted by many sites, internet, and things like that. Why then were they persecuted? This is a good question. Why people persecute Ellen G. White writings? And I believe that there are many reasons, but one main reason. Some persecute because, or accuse, or make false statements, because if they would believe that she would be a true messenger from God, they will need to change not only their beliefs but their practices. And this is very difficult. It's easier for me to remain where I am, the way I am, and not to change. Another question, do Adventist pastors have the same kind of authority as Ellen White did? Do we have prophetic? But do you know that in some places in the world, I have been in some places in the world where all pastors answered yes. In some places, pastors are thought to be the voice of God. And if you disagree with a pastor, you are disagreeing with God. But that's not what the Bible is teaching us. A prophet authority is, a prophetic authority is different. What is the source of the pastoral authority? Is the call, the ordination, or our connection with the Word? What do you think about? What is the source of our authority as pastors? And now, what is the risk? Bonetta made a very interesting question yesterday. How to know when something, if some of her writings have prophetic authority or pastoral authority? Very interesting that. So then, this question I believe is related with that. What is the risk if I use my reasoning to judge inspired writings, to determine which part is authoritative or normative and which are not? What is the risk? What do you think?
If I can comment on that.
Sure.
And even going back to my question yesterday, because you had a very good point, and I totally agree with it, in that often our human nature, we ask about something because we may not want to agree with it. My question didn't derive from that stance, because I do believe Ellen White is a prophet. But I also know that there are parts that she wrote, for example, if she got a date wrong or something, that critics will say, well, you're if she was inspired and God inspired every, word she said, then what's this all about? That's the stance from which I was asking that question, which of course goes back into, what type of inspiration is that? But I just wanted to qualify that. But to answer your question here, of course, the risk is that we will possibly deem those things irrelevant that we don't want to align our lives with.
Exactly. That is the risk. And by the way, we don't believe that the letters she wrote to her husband for regular things of life were inspired. We don't believe that. That's not what we believe. And or should I instead be judged by them, by those writings? Should I judge, or should I be judged by them? So why do you think she called herself God's messenger instead of prophetess? You will never see Ellen G. White saying of herself, I am a prophetess. But she said, I am God's messenger. And some critics say, not even Ellen White said she was a prophet, a prophetess. So she is a fake. She is not. So why did she call herself God's messenger? Did she not know the meaning of the two words or the two concepts? Did she consider her ministry as being inferior to the ministry of a prophet? At that time, many professed prophets were a reproach to the cause of God. In her work would include much more than the word prophet signifies. That's an error there. That's the text. She says, why have I not claimed to be a prophet? Because in these days, many who boldly claim that they are prophets are a reproach to the cause of Christ. And because my work includes much more than the word prophet signifies. So, why I am bringing that issue here? Because I would like to encourage you to highlight the book Counsels on Stewardship in as many languages as possible in your territory. I would like to commend some of you that had made great efforts, big efforts to bring those books at light, like the Southern Asia Pacific Division. They have just published how many books, Pastor? Share with us. 5,000 counsels on stewardship. All pastors of that division now have that book by free. Free. He's providing. I was having lunch with Elder Rentley, and he told me that because he is originally from a northern part of India, right? Northeast of India. I will go there in a few weeks. I will be there with him, and he is telling me that he already the book is already translated for his native language, right? Yeah, so very nice. I know that also in NSD there is Kwon has this passion to make that book available and to give to pastors, to lay. I am even thinking the possibility to ask the Ellen G. White State to change the title of this book, because the title of this book is preventing lay persons to read it. And maybe we can find a more friendly title for that book. Because I asked Boger to bring a full box of this book in the Portuguese language. Because I would like to work here in the States with Adventist members from Portugal and from Brazil. I have visited one member, very wealthy. He don't know what to do with his money. very wealthy. And I would like to visit that man and give that book and pray with him. He trusts in me. So I can say, here you will find guidance for your financial life. God is much willing to bless you. So I would like to encourage you to make that book available, to highlight it in your website, and to speak about it in every meeting you will have, especially with pastors, and encourage them to read it, to underline it, and to value it as coming from God, as it really is. God bless you.